Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining today's Microsoft Marketplace Customer Office Hour. Super excited to have you joining us here today. My name is Justin Royal. I'm the Microsoft Marketplace Community Manager and wanted to welcome you to today's session all about charting your AI strategy for manufacturing with Marketplace. Just a reminder, our office hours for customers, they are a monthly occurrence. So if this is your first time, definitely make sure to join our link below, and you can access an entire library of other office hours for Marketplace customers. That link is aka.ms/marketplace customer office hours, and you can actually subscribe to that page on Microsoft Tech Community to get reminders about upcoming events as well. Today, we are covering a session on charting your AI strategy for manufacturing with Marketplace, and I'll hand it over to my colleague, Felipe, in just a minute. Before we get started, just a few reminders here. We definitely encourage Q&A throughout today's session. We will have time at the end to answer all of your questions. If you are watching this session on demand, you won't be able to ask a live question, of course, but we do encourage you to put your comments and questions in the Marketplace community. And the link for that is aka.ms/community/marketplace. And we'll flash that on the screen in just a second. So again, we'll go on and pass it over to Felipe. Thanks again for joining, everybody. And with that being said, Felipe, I'll go on and hand it over to you.
Thank you, Justin. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Felipe Ospina. I am a product marketing manager for Microsoft Marketplace, and very excited and happy to be here presenting this session on charting AI app and agent strategy with Marketplace with a focus on manufacturing. Here's our agenda for today's session. We'll start talking about the reality of AI in manufacturing. Then we will look at how industrial AI scales from the cloud to the edge. And from there, I'll walk you through a few concrete manufacturing scenarios, and we'll tie those scenarios back to the different paths for AI and agent adoption using Marketplace. And at the end, we will leave time for Q&A. But before we jump in, I would like to ground this session on why this matters. And the reason is manufacturing is going through some major pressure and transformation at the same time. There's labor constraints, there's cost pressure, shifting supply chains, and rising demand for products. And in that environment, AI is becoming one of the most powerful levers for competitiveness in this space. But the real question customers are asking is, how do we turn this interest in AI into real operational results? And that's exactly what we're focusing today in this session. So when we talk to manufacturing customers, we're seeing that three themes are consistently coming up. First, factory data is still highly disconnected. Second, there is complexity in how edge and cloud systems work together. And third, while the ambition for AI is high, it's often constrained by integration cost and operational complexity. And these challenges are setting the context for why scaling AI in manufacturing is fairly hard. And I think this slide makes the challenge very explicit, because AI adoption itself is not the barrier. Rather, scale is the barrier. And according to recent industry research, more than half of manufacturers are still operating AI initiatives in pilot mode. And that tells us the issue isn't whether AI is working. It's more that the issue is, how do we move from experimentation to production in a way that is sustainable and in a way that is governed. So a key theme from our own industrial AI research is that AI models alone don't create value. And AI delivers value when it's grounded in connected, high quality data across your ERP systems, your MES systems, IoT systems, and any operational system in your manufacturing process. Without that foundation, that's when AI stays in experimental mode. And this is why we frame industrial AI across three stages: design, build, and operate. Because design is accelerating product and process innovation, then building is creating a unified data foundation for those manufacturing operations. And then operating means empowering those frontline workers with guidance from AI. And Marketplace can play a critical role here by accelerating access to those solutions that plug into this foundation rather than forcing manufacturers to rebuild everything themselves. Now, as manufacturers think about these AI architectures, there are fundamentally three trade-offs that you can think about that you need to balance in this process. Number one is control. And this means thinking about how much customization and tuning you need for the machines, the lines, and the plants. Secondly, there is speed. How quickly can you impact uptime? How quickly can you impact yield and quality in your manufacturing operation? And then thirdly, and as importantly, there's cost. And this is not just the cloud cost, but also the engineering effort required to implement these initiatives, the downtime risk, and any integration burden that you also have to think about. And all of this needs to be tied with governance and safety because these are non-negotiable in manufacturing, as these trade-offs they will help you shape how you build, how you buy, or how you blend solutions as you take on these decisions. Now let's dive a little bit deeper on the unified data foundation, because this is the foundation for everything that will follow. And this means the connection of your ERP system, your manufacturing execution system or MES, any maintenance management systems, IoT, historians, and even files and documents. All of that connection is part of the unified data foundation. And it also means breaking down operational technology silos and IT silos. Because when data is unified and governed, this is where you're enabling the analytics. This is where you're enabling the digital twins and the AI agents at scale. And without this foundation, the AI initiatives will struggle to move beyond isolated use cases and beyond those initial pilots or proofs of concept. Now, this reference architecture gives you an idea on how industrial AI can scale from the factory floor all the way through the cloud. On the left, you have factory and edge systems. These are the machines, these are the programmable logic computers, sensors, vision systems, and the telemetry from the operation. Next is the intelligence at the edge. And this is where the local analytics and the low latency agents are running close to the equipment. As we move to the center, you'll see the unified data foundation that is connecting the operational and the enterprise systems all under a layer of governance. And from there, you can move into cloud analytics and the AI that enable the analytics, the advanced analytics, the digital twins, and the model reasoning capabilities required for the operation and for embracing AI. That ultimately will feed those AI agents and the applications, which will drive the decisions. They will drive the actions, for example, like operator guidance, any workflow automation, and continuous improvement. And Marketplace spans these layers because through Marketplace, you can obtain vetted models, you can obtain the agents, the AI apps, and all of the connectors that will deploy into your environment with the governance, the security, and the cost control applied end to end. Now, it's important to emphasize that the edge and the cloud are complementary. They're not competing. And when you think about the edge, this is where the edge is ideal for real-time inference and ideal for the low latency decisions that are closer to the machines. Whereas the cloud is where you scale the analytics, you have the digital twins, and all of those cross-plant insights. And the successful industrial AI strategy will use both, all connected through this unified data foundation. Now, there's a huge amount of manufacturing knowledge that lives in unstructured data. Everything from maintenance logs, the manuals, inspection notes, and all of the operator handoffs. And this is where AI agents can help structure, they can help summarize, and also contextualize this information, especially when it's connected to operational signals. So when we talk about turning the unstructured plant data into decisions, what we're really talking about is connecting that human knowledge, connecting those documents and logs with real operational signals. So AI can help teams understand what is happening, most importantly, why it's happening, and then what to do next. Now, let's look at a couple of specific scenarios. The first scenario, which is the most natural place where this will show up in a manufacturing process or within manufacturing, is predictive maintenance. And predictive maintenance sits at that intersection of everything we just talked about. It sits at the intersection of machine telemetry, any historical failure data, maintenance logs, inspection notes, and operator knowledge. They're all coming together to prevent downtime before it happens. And the practical approach here is to blend your own IT telemetry with proven industry models, deploy those analytics at the edge when they are needed, and reduce downtime without rebuilding those maintenance systems from scratch. Another common scenario is production optimization. And in production optimization, the goal is to identify the bottlenecks. The goal is also to reduce yield loss and improve the throughput. And this requires combining the data, the process data, with AI reasoning to help you understand where those inefficiencies exist and what actions to take. And once the value is proven, perhaps in one line or in one specific plant, you can scale these solutions across plants using those same reusable components to scale out. Now, the third scenario focuses on frontline enablement. And this is where manufacturing organizations face real challenges with training, real challenges with onboarding, and also retaining knowledge. And this is where the AI agents can deliver any task-specific guidance directly to the frontline workers, helping reduce that dependency on tribal knowledge, and also helping to improve safety, improve productivity, and drive training outcomes. So when you think about these three scenarios, this brings us to Microsoft Marketplace. And Marketplace can be your trusted source for cloud solutions for those AI applications and agents across these manufacturing scenarios. Marketplace provides you with a comprehensive catalog across multiple industries, across use cases, with an integrated experience from discovery to deployment. And for manufacturing customers, Marketplace can act as that scaling layer for industrial AI, helping you deploy solutions directly into your Azure environment while maintaining governance and control. Now, the marketplace helps you find those AI apps and agents to match your scenario and stack. The marketplace is that one source of vetted partner solutions that extend through the Microsoft platform. So you can find solutions from top AI providers, AI workloads, whether you're looking for AI apps, machine learning models, and agents, they're all available through the marketplace. As you find those solutions, there are different paths that you can take to adopt AI apps and agents. So let's dive a little bit deeper across those three paths or approaches. Build, buy, or blend. And it's important to understand that there is no one size that fits all, and each of these approaches will serve different needs. So when you're thinking about building, you're thinking about maximum control, but that may take longer. Whereas when you're thinking about buying, you want fast deployment, you want proven capabilities, and perhaps less customization. And ultimately, there's the blend approach, which is more balanced and helps you customize critical parts where you need customization and specific requirements across the end-to-end scenario. So let's look a little bit more deeply at each of these paths to understand the trade-offs and the value that Marketplace provides across each of these. When you're thinking about building, this is where you want to attain maximum control. You want unique differentiation because you're looking for a highly specific use case where you may be bringing your own IP. And this is where you are aligning those AI apps and agents to a very specific outcome. Now, the trade-off in this approach is the speed and the development cost. You will also have to consider specialized skills that may be required to build the solution and higher upfront costs. Now, if you're going down the build path, this is where Marketplace is helping you or can help you ground those solutions with thousands of models to provide you with fast, relevant context as you deploy those AI-based solutions end-to-end. You can also build using pre-trained models that are available on Azure or also available through Microsoft Foundry through the marketplace. If you're thinking about buying, this is a use case where you want to buy out of the box a specific AI solution, and you're looking for proven value and for proven capabilities that are out there in the market. You want to realize value immediately without a lengthy development cycle, and you want more predictable costs, for example, via a licensing model or a subscription-based model. Now, the trade-off in this scenario is control because you are relying on the vendor of that solution for any updates or perhaps any customization. That's an element to consider here. Now, Marketplace will support you on the buy approach because it will help you accelerate the time to value. It will help you on the vendor onboarding. The vendor solutions on the Marketplace are pre-vetted and are ready to be deployed. So you eliminate the process of having to onboard the vendor, and that will help you reduce the procurement time. If you're thinking about buying, you could also engage with that specific vendor or supplier with a custom transaction via a private offer. You can get custom terms and conditions for your specific scenario for that solution. And if your organization has an Azure consumption commitment or a cloud consumption commitment, the purchase of those solutions, if they're eligible towards counting towards that commitment, they will count and accrue to that contract. And you can also govern and control with private marketplace It's a capability that exists within the within marketplace environment in Azure. If you want to attain governance and control of the solutions within your organization, to ensure that people within the organization can only buy solutions that are pre-approved by your administrator, you can do that with Marketplace on the buy scenario. And you could also buy solutions that integrate with the Microsoft stack. You can find them on Marketplace, or you can also buy through your channel partner. We have solutions in the Marketplace that you can procure directly through your channel partner. If you already have a relationship with a specific channel partner, you can purchase through the Marketplace and attain the same benefits directly through your channel partner. Now, when you're thinking about blending, this is a hybrid approach that can be best for some organizations, because in this approach, you're looking to extend your specific IP and extend that to, say, a partner solution. And you can also lead with a partner-led deployment that includes specific services that that partner is providing. So you can think about these services, for example, on assessments. You can think about them as inclusive of implementation, a specific proof of concept, or if you need a workshop, migration service, and even support. Those can be attained through the Marketplace with partner-led deployments. So as you find those solutions, regardless of the scenario, don't fret about losing financial and operational control, because through Marketplace, you can deploy and you can manage and control all of your cloud investments on Azure. Depending on the approach, whether you're buying, building, or blending, it all comes together through one single platform where you can purchase and manage those investments. Now, let's talk about at a high level on a decision framework that can help you formulate a decision and a process where you want to understand what is the best path when you're building, buying, or blending these AI solutions. But you have to be aware that compliance, governance, and any regulatory requirement are always the gating factor. So if you can't meet them, the decision is already made for you. Now, once those compliance, governance, and regulatory requirements are cleared, the first thing you want to ask is this a core business capability, or is it something that is creating unique business value? So if not, the best approach is to buy the solution. Don't reinvent the wheel for something that won't differentiate or is not non-differentiating for your needs. Now, if it is core or uniquely valuable, do the next check. Do you have the development capacity? If not, maybe we should blend. Combine Marketplace or a partner solution with your own logic so you can move much quicker. If you do have the development capacity, then the final question is, does the business case you're trying to attain justify that total cost of ownership? If not, blending is, again, a more pragmatic choice. If yes, then building in-house is justified, as it delivers more of a sustainable advantage. So you can use this framework to ensure you're investing the resources where they matter most, and balancing speed, balancing control, and balancing the cost while you align with those strategic goals. So I hope this framework helps you understand the process that you can use to assess what path you want to pursue through buy, build, or blend when you're considering Marketplace for your cloud and AI app and agent requirements. We do have some time for Q&A, so happy to take any questions that are perhaps coming in from the chat.
Great. Thank you, Felipe. Hey, everybody. Plenty of time to ask your questions. I see some have already come into the chat, but if you're watching us live, don't hold back from asking Felipe your questions on this topic. First question we have, any thoughts on instrumenting agents efficiently?
Thoughts on instrumenting agents efficiently? Yes. Here are some couple of thoughts on agents that we hear from customers and partners. Go beyond usage. So instrument specific task outcomes and risk controls. Think about instrumenting by adding, for example, metrics and logging hooks into the agent's workflow, so you can observe and quantify how that agent is performing, what the usage is, and any compliance requirements. Because you want, for example, when you're measuring effectiveness of the agent, you want to measure the accuracy. You want to measure, for example, the resolution rate, any cycle time saved. So that's a way to start measuring the agent as you are implementing them. If you're thinking, for instance, in terms of adoption, what you can think about active users, any repeat usage that agent is driving. When you think about efficiency and cost for those agents, you need to measure, say, the compute and the token per successful outcome, so you can get an idea for the cost per task, so you can project the cost in the long run. Or if you're thinking about an agent scenario where you may be instrumenting it around governance, for example, you want to be able to audit the work that agent is doing, to audit the completeness of the governance process, and so forth. So just go beyond usage and instrument those tasks and outcomes, and risk controls. Now, it's important that you are defining the success criteria for each agent. So, for example, generating a report, summarizing XYZ process. Define the success criteria for each agent, so you can then capture any measurable outputs. For example, did the agent finish the task? Is the quality score, if you're measuring accuracy or quality score, was the output correct or useful? If you are measuring cycle time saved, for example, how much faster versus a manual process. So making sure that you have those measurable outputs is really important. And you can then log those to understand context of which model, which agent, which prompt, so you can then track performance back to the configuration. So I would say perhaps those are the high level themes or thoughts on agent instrumentation.
Great. Thanks, Felipe. Um, let's try to squeeze in this other question. This person is asking for a short answer here. They're saying, is there an easy way to understand where should we start to avoid getting stuck in a pilot and actually scale AI?
Yeah, so we saw that stat earlier on, more than 50% of companies stuck in these pilots. So yeah, that's a great question. I would say a couple of things. Start anchoring on one high impact operational scenario rather than just chasing the model or chasing the tool. So figure out what is that one high impact operational scenario you want to start with. Secondly, it's important to make sure that the data required for that scenario is, one, accessible, obviously. Two, it's data that is governed. And I would say, three, that data is connected across your OT and IT systems, right? Because we talked about the unified data foundation, which is the foundational layer for this. So the data needs to be across all systems. Then I would say from there, this is where you decide what you want to build. This is where you would decide what you need to buy or perhaps where you need to blend. And one recommendation is perhaps use any proven components that exist where possible, rather than building things on your own. So the marketplace gives you that catalog of solutions of those components, and it can help you accelerate this by reducing the integration process, the procurement, and any governance friction, which is often what keeps these pilots from becoming production systems. So if you find a capability, if you find an application or an AI agent through the marketplace, that's a really quick way to connect it and maybe trial it into your pilot and that high impact operational scenario. So you can really drive success and then scale out if that unified data layer is in place end to end.
Got it. Thank you. Great in-depth responses there. Thanks everybody for contributing those questions. I think that kind of wraps up the questions so far, but definitely if anybody is watching this on demand, feel free to ask more questions in the marketplace community. And the link there is aka.ms/community/marketplace. So with that being said, we will go ahead and wrap up for the day. Thanks again, everybody, for watching. Thanks so much, Felipe, for sharing your expertise here. And have a great day. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.